ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the ESL Pro League, and of course, welcome back to my little corner here. We're about halfway through the night, and I just want to take a chance quickly to keep you guys up to date on the results happening on our second stream. It was NIP going up against Mouse Sports, and a very slow start to the season it has been for NIP. 8-16 was the scoreline on Dust 2, and then 10-16 was the scoreline on Train. Mouse Sports are all over them like white on rice. Not a great start for the Swedes, and I'm sure their fans will hope to see them improve going through, but Mouse Sports are looking a little sharper. Now, before we jump into our next game, of course, it is going to be North versus Fnatic. We do have a little pro tip to share with you from the map of Cobble.
Hey Future Pros, prone to getting pwned on cobblestone? A site been overthrown, you left all alone? Well, here's a flash that could get you out of the danger zone. To do this, jam yourself into this corner and crouch down. Aim at this incredibly distinct dark spot and throw the flash full strength. It's certainly a noisy flash, but the lineups are easy and consistent.
That's helped me out, Alex.
You feeling educated there?
Yeah, that's helped me.
That was fantastic. That was our observer with another brain-melting and complex pro tip. So keep your eyes on that one. It will probably take you a fair few hours. Of course, he is a trained professional, no stranger to mouse and keyboard in CS himself. But that flashbang can get you out of, what did he say? A danger zone.
Rush is making me blush.
It was good. I loved it. Yeah, of course, you'll see him navigating you through the next game, which is coming up, Fnatic versus North. New face on the desk. We have Henry Greer.
Oh, my God.
He's back, ready to go.
Yeah, about that. You're wearing my old jacket. You're wearing my old jacket, Henry, because we
This is the
forgot shirts.
itchiest jacket I've
It's
ever worn in my
horrible, isn't
life.
it?
What is this?
It says it's
I've got
real-
a rash on my neck from wearing this. This is awful. Please let me take it off.
It says it's real tweed, but I don't think tweed
Mate,
feels like that.
If tweed is made out of this should stop being produced ever. So let's end this right now.
Yes, but something that shouldn't stop being produced is fantastic Counter-Strike, and hopefully we're going to be getting it today because rosters. That's basically what we're going to be talking about here. Yes, there's maps, yes, there's strats, and well, not necessarily for one of the two, but we are going to be talking about Fnatic and North. We start, I believe, with the most recent announcement, that is, of course, North. Just quickly want to touch on that one because it hasn't been necessarily mentioned enough on the stream. Mr. AZ.
Mr. AZ indeed. He's been like the mercenary for the Danish team for the last couple of years, rose to form with Dignitas. He was a star player for a long time, actually tipped to be like one of the hottest properties in CSGO at that point. He left, went over to this kind of phase project right now, and he never really came into fruition, I would say. Kind of like he had some star moments, but kind of dropped off of being that world best player. So right now, I'm kind of happy with this move. He's played with these guys before. He merked for them at WESG qualifiers.
Merked.
Is that not a good word for you?
Well, we can't use the one we use in Australia. It just always is interesting. Sorry,
Can I
didn't
finish
mean
my
to
point?
ruin your
I had a
flow.
good
I
point.
think you could. I think that's okay.
I had a good point there. So it was they went to WSG qualifiers, which they won. They actually took down some big names there, the likes of Envious, Virtus Pro. They won that event. It wasn't a major event, it was a qualifier, but still they looked like a very good unit. Obviously, Rubino being removed from this, he was Norwegian, the odd card, I would say, in that kind of lineup. And now this really makes sense for North.
Right, and while we're on the topic of Rubino, I actually was reading the statement that North put out on their website, and it does turn out, and I don't know where the discussion goes with this, but on the statement on North's website, it says that Ruben made the decision. Rubino himself, after the major, came out with a statement saying, I felt like I was dragging them down, and no matter, they said despite he remained adamant. I had the quote in front of me, but it's gone, so I'm just going to paraphrase.
Go on.
He remained adamant despite the organization and the players trying to sway him that he should leave the team. So it's not what it looked like initially, which was let's get another Dane in.
How do you feel about that, Henry?
I think it's fair enough. Like, he is one of those players quite volatile. He can be
self-critical.
Yeah, to be fair, he had those periods where he had to step out of the team because he was having like personal issues, his in-game stuff, and like he couldn't find his zone, and like it was very up and down. Sometimes very, very good, especially with pistols. He could find the big rounds in that regard, but sometimes had very quiet performances as well. And when he's the only Norwegian player as well, and you have the potential to get someone like AZ, like we said, someone who was tipped to be one of the best players in the world at one point, who has played at this team, we know he works well. It makes a lot of sense. I think think he's just looking for the greater good at that point. It's a fresh start for him to have that pressure release and not be the kind of player that stands out the most, and allow AZ to come in and make this really a dangerous team to be world contenders now with North.
Dangerous, for sure.
That's what I meant.
I like
yeah, you got
that.
it.
It's an interesting team when you look at the stars, though, because AZ was like quite an aggressive player. Magix is quite aggressive, and so is Config. So unless AZ is going to step into more of like a passive lurker role, which is kind of what Rubino would do on certain executes or certain strategies, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works and how MSO uses the pieces. But I think this lineup, in terms of individuals, has more star power or more individual star power than Astralis.
Big statement given their success
Across the board.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. I mean, they are a team to be reckoned with. There's no doubt about it. We'll see how if they can translate that into success. Henry looks like he's about to sneeze after hearing that. He's just like...
That's a big one.
You don't agree with that? Name for name. All right, so Device is the best player in Astralis.
Right.
Okay, then you've got Kirby. Okay, well, right now in North, you have Magix, Config, AZ, and Cajun.
Yes.
Who comes next in Astralis in that order who can match up with any of those four players?
The way I look at it right now, you look at the in-game leaders, right? Both very capable in their respective roles of in-game leaders.
Glaive is
but
better
you have
than MSL.
Glaive on paper, much better fragger than MSL ever will be. MSL can be good, but Glaive can actually be a top fragger on his team. I think that's the differentiating factor here. And I think on paper, that's why I still give it to Astralis, even though this AZ move.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good backing for at least one of the points you made there, Chad. But I mean, what the initial point was, the basis of that claim was that Magis, Config, and AZ is a very scary trio. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I can't wait to see their gameplay in action. Now, their opponents is Fnatic. And of course, this has been a whirlwind Swedish shuffle. If you haven't been keeping your eyes on the CSGO news, the story as it stands is that Godsent and Fnatic just have been an incestual mess. We have seen these two Swedish rosters and Swedish organizations just swap back and forth. First, it was Lekro and Crims, and now we've seen another swap. We are seeing none other than Crims.
Family show? Apparently not.
It's a family show. Zeus forgot about that, but it's great to see that less than 12 hours, he claims Fnatic are already messing everyone else
Messing them up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, this is funny. This was basically G2 announcing that they had a super team, the French Revolution. They were suggesting we have built ourselves a super team.
Humble, of course.
Humble as anything that is Mr. Carlos. And following that, it was Khan. After their victory, he simply sent them to the Wikipedia page for super team. And if you keep your eyes open, you'll be able to see there's a definition there of Mr. Fnatic themselves, starting February 4th, 2017, just 4 days ago. I love it. I do love how CS is moving in this banterous direction, at least between
It's
pros.
good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm sure Chad's a fan of this as well. We kind of had this back in the day in Sources. We used to have a bit of rivalries.
Felt like we had like radio silence for a bit, and now everyone's just like piping up.
No, they've realised it's part of the game. You're inside the heads and actually making players a little bit scared and sending out a message. I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to highlight them for you guys at home as well. If you spot anything, don't hesitate to throw it at us at ESLCS as well. That sounded like my voice. That was incredibly disconcerting. But still, Fnatic are back together with their squad. It's, of course, the Retro 5, right? I mean, I'll let Henry do some history lessons for everyone.
It's not the classic.
Not the super fun.
But this is the team we first saw at Frag by Masters in December 2015, right at the end there. And they went on to win a chain of like 6 events in a row. It looked fantastic. But as ever with these kind of super teams when they're first made, once they go to so many events and they win so many titles, people start to download and take real notice of how they play. And once they started getting counted and people knew how to shut them down, that's when you see they couldn't really recover. Yes, they were always a fantastic 5. They played great fundamental Counter-Strike, but they didn't have the backbone in terms of the strategy to fall back onto. They tried multiple different things, like Virgo coming in, and then Jumpy was brought in as well, but couldn't really adjust their lineup well enough to actually get them that tactical backbone they needed. And that's why it kind of fell apart. When it all finished in the end, they said there was some personal conflicts going on there. They said they weren't really friends anymore. But they're trying it again. So who knows? Chad, what are your thoughts on that, I guess?
Well, I think that, you know, this roster, like you're saying, just needs that tactical element. Apparently, Flusher, he's the one who's going to do the in-game leading again, which is a little bit weird because I don't see him... He's the cerebral player, right? We were talking about this before, but you saw better stuff when he was playing for Godsent in terms of him being able to do that because he can focus on his own game more. I don't want it to detract from him because he's one of the best players at majors. And to note with this roster, even though they won all those events you were talking about, they never won a major, which is what people like criticize them for that.
Right.
And I think as well, you were saying there's personal issues. I think that the core of the team wanted to replace JW. This is rumors, of course.
Sure.
But Flusher wanted to stay with him, and then the offer to go play with Pronax and stuff came back. And you know, they reminisced of the good old days when they won that first major, and that didn't work out so well for them.
For sure. I mean, there's no doubt that we'll have plenty more time to talk about this as the game does continue. We haven't quite touched on, of course, what's going down right now. It's Mirage. We're going to be seeing these two teams clash on Mirage. Of course, it's safe to assume very little in-depth Counter-Strike is about to be witnessed. I'm assuming with a new player joining immediately.
I think North had the upper hand for sure.
Yeah.
Like we said, they played with this core lineup at WSG. Mirage was a great map for them at that event.
Right.
Fnatic, of course, they're going to have a lot of stuff in the back burner. Yeah, but I would say they're going to be a lot weaker, like Chad has said. In-game needed to be Flusher now.
Sure.
They've always relied on this fundamental Counter-Strike working well as a Type 5. But in terms of this map in particular, it's always been a Danish home turf. I feel like they've got the upper hand going into this one.
Or they're going to be making calls like, do you remember what we did on like the Tuesday 2015?
Yeah, right.
All right, we've been told to get ready and jump into this one, so let's get our casters on the screen. It's none other than Mr. Mitch and Miss Pansy.
Thank you very much, Alex. Nailed the genders there, mate. No problem at all. Fnatic versus North. Nailed. Lauren, this is going to be an interesting one indeed. They've already sort of summed it up a little bit. I think it's quite interesting. Something that maybe we didn't really talk about too much is that, Flush is calling. The Olafmeister now freed up a bit. I mean, he's the kind of caliber that you always said, at least, that, it didn't matter if he was calling, he was still going to frag like a beast. Do you think this makes much of a difference in the grand scheme?
I think we're going to find out. That's the only way with these guys is... the proof's in the pudding as such, isn't it? And the brilliant thing to me, the one time that really caught my attention with how good Dignitas were on this map was against the classic Fnatic lineup. And of course, that was when North were in Team Dignitas, back when you still had Kievi in there and Tensky, but still, proved a little bit of a point. But we'll see what Fnatic can bring. They were never known for their incredible strategic ways. It was more the power they bring in. The power is already shining through. 2 kills this round, and the A-bomb site looking a little contested here. 2 players on site, 1 pushed towards jungle there, and actually went through towards window. It didn't work out for a lot.
Yeah. Pretty interesting round, pretty much all over the place here, but both of those last Fnatic players up on that side. Midisk tries to challenge. He spent a lot of time just sitting back, actually, towards CT. Finally comes forward, and with 8 HP, Flusher manages just to thread the needle and get across the gap. Bomb is down and ticking, and it's all up to AZ now. The newest inclusion here for North to make it happen.
The man's got star power, there's no disputing that. Let's see if he can pull it off. No kit, so a huge problem there. Wants to try and isolate one of these 2 players, but they've created a nice little bit of play here. Crims, though, gets his head taken off, and now AZ's got the 10-second Flusher, you are going to peak this. Flusher, you are going to peak this. There we go. Does step around, he gets punished. But timing is going to be the factor now. Yeah,
it's going to be a big problem here to try and get that defuse. It'll be pretty close here for AZ, but he's navigated this one very, very well. And just on the nick of time, the defuse is going to come in. North are going to win that pistol round. And AZ navigated that treacherous C very, very aptly. And the shots towards lower dark, that definitely caught Crims off guard.
Yeah, that was a nice little quick pickup, and we're going to see the UMPs coming out. This is going to be something so common now. They're a really powerful weapon, so not too surprising. But it's just, let's see how North does. Let's see how they're playing with AZ. Let's see how he fits in. And for me, it's all eyes on Fnatic, though. I want to see how they're gelling back together. This line did certainly have a turbulent history. Individually, did they get along? Were they, friends outside? Does that matter when they pick up results? That's the big thing. These guys were absolutely god tier. So you've got to see what they can bring down the line. This is very, very early on still in this formation coming back together. So you're going to have to wait and see. But this round might be a bit of a throwaway at this point, not getting too much given to them by North. You can see North just holding back a little bit, holding angles, making it hard work for Fnatic to get any work done with those pistols, really.
Config walks into 1 bullet there, fired off by JW. He was obviously looking for pot shots through mid. None forthcoming. 3 players up top mid here for Fnatic now, and no utility to work with here, so essentially they're going to have to grind and slow roll their way through the map. I think Crims was trying to go for a little bit of a quiet lurk there in Palace. He just made some noise to try and imply that he was leaving. So we'll come back to the story at A, but it's going to be Config there again. Another peek out of Connector, gets his 2nd for the round. First it was Olafmeister from Underpass, then JW, then the lurking Crims takes Config very low.
Yeah, and look at Flusher instantly wanting to respond. He knows the damage that came through from Palace then towards Config, so he does at least get down 1, but can they recover anything? Can they do anything with it? So far, the answer is a pretty adamant no. Flusher's still looking for chances, and they're going hunting for it now. You're going to get those UMPs hopefully trailblazing the way AZ gets reminded that it's still Flusher. It's still a pistol. Let's be a little careful here. It may not be Dennis, but let's be honest, Flusher certainly has his reputation in CZs, maybe P250s in the future, but for now, they've gone through the round. That's it. They only got a kill there. That's not the best they would have. It maybe a little more they'd have hoped for. Maybe they'd hoped that North wouldn't be so reserved towards mid and they'd have taken a couple more fights. It wasn't the case. But Fnatic didn't get that 3rd round buy-in, so it's not too bad at the end of the day. Rifles galore and a little bit of utility to make the play with.
Yeah. Bomb plant in the pistol, definitely setting him up for an earlier buy-in. Molotov in towards apartments here. JW's going to have to just chill and maybe make a frozen TV dinner for the moment. Dennis and Flush working. Hey, that's going to be MSL. Great flash pushes on. MSL actually starting to make things happen for himself there and gets himself that AK to boot.
That's lovely as well. Just a little bit of presence towards BFs makes it uncomfortable and kind of begs a response from Fnatic, and there's that. Flusher finding Cajun B is a really nice gift, and Flusher finds a follow-up. This man, you know, he's in-game leading, and he's still individually certainly showing signs of good performance so far. It's still very early doors, though, and Config's going to at least control where the bomb is. That's down at ramp, and now the last 2 players are going to be left trying to fight their way back towards that, if not try and find the last remaining 3 players for North.
It's Crimson Olafmeister, the terrible 2 left there, are separated, not able to play together over the map right now, and MSL catches Crims trying to make his way through. Olafmeister is there with the trade, something Fnatic was so good at orchestrating with this roster. It's not about deep strategy, it's about angels and trades, and that's what Fnatic did so well. But now Olafmeister doesn't have that option. He's got a 1v2, trying to split it, hedge his bets, and no, it's going to be easy there to get the refrag, and North with 3.
Not clean, but around on the board, and North being able to keep this one going so far. They'll be okay for this round. They know that Fnatic aren't going to be able to get much, so you can maybe imagine those UMPs coming back out to play. Oh, actually, no, an MP9 for MSL. Maybe just fancy wants to run around a little bit. Obviously, you can just kind of run around the place. Hell of a lot of bullets in that thing. Jump around. Nice little Call of Duty gun.
Yeah, I mean, given that it's unlike a Fnatic really buy much armor, I guess it's okay to sort of dispense with UMPs in this round, save a little bit of money, even though, you know, facilitate aggression in towards apartments, which MSL is playing. But Config just going to knock him down straight through mid. It's JW and Olafmeister try and find something and get sent packing with Null. The Deagle? No. MSL, that's that push we were talking about. The MP9 lets him move just a little bit faster and get up in the face of the Fnatic lineup.
Yeah, Flusher, what can you do here? You've got MSL hunting, and that's the one play you can really expend. Here, he's only got the SMG, and that's fine. He's done perfectly well there. 2 kills for himself. Money in the bank, and that's going to make it nice and robust. Up to 9k here, so that could be an AWP dropped out over to Cajun B. There's the rifle back. That's the perfect way you wanted that to play out there. So now Cajun B can take over where, I think it was Config kind of playing by window. Not sure, but Cajun B's got the spawn for it, so I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes it out that way. No AWP on the T side yet either. This time, though, they've got way more to play with in the forms of mollies. They've got, you know, a couple more smokes in there, so hopefully they can build something into this, because so far they haven't been given much play, but still, the last round was close.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be an A set piece at the moment. If Fnatic expend any smokes in towards mid-window or connector now, they won't have enough, obviously, to try and make a set play. And it doesn't seem to be the plan at this stage. Again, staked out in mid seems to be the default approach for Fnatic thus far, lacking an AWP and anything really deep in terms of that utility. Pretty easy in mid-window here at the moment.
Yeah, Cajun B's playing short on a bit of an off angle. I guess if you go towards your Delpan or anywhere towards that side of the box, that's where it's going to happen. Really nice angle. Going to find Crims. Can back away from it. You can see JW instantly wants to respond, try and find the frag back on it, but you've still got MSL watching the push out on B, but we'll see what the angles are like. That's the Pronax flash, isn't it, really? You're waiting with this in the air for any signal or just that feel, that gut feeling, and there it is, and it doesn't work out, but he gets the shot anyway. Nicely played out from MSL, and actually individually so far holding his own, even though JW's been certainly testing the waters.
Yeah, MSL has that unenviable job of having to be sort of that floating B play, kind of like a Zipnix as well in the same way. You know, play towards truck and try and deal with that, you know, that inevitable 1v1 you often have, even if it's a loose player on the T side pushing B. He does have Cajun B back at the side for support. And MSL has backed away here, but Flusher, 4 points of health. Now he and Dennis will need to work together here. The Molotov won't stymie the speed of Fnatic too much, as it was thrown a little bit prematurely. Flusher needs to let this molly go and get back and stay alive here. Dennis has a smoke and a flash to work with as well. Now, Cajun B's moved over towards Kitchen, so MSL now has 2 angles being followed, and that's it. Cajun B gets on towards Flusher pretty comfortably. Only 4 points of health. 1 bullet is definitely going to be enough to get the job done. And now Dennis has to brawl his way through, but it's not going to be enough. MSL, yet again, 2 kills for him there. It's not often we say this about MSL. It's not often he's at the top of the scoreboard. It's early days yet, but he's definitely been getting the key contributions at that B site.
Or he's denied refrags coming from JW. He's kept him under wrap. So if JW does get the kill eventually, then sure. Then we start things getting picked up a little bit, maybe starting to push people out from being comfortable on short. Things can really change up then, but there's no AWP yet out for JW, so he's not going to have a chance on that one. He's not exactly a slouch with a rifle, though, so that's no real issue, but Fnatic definitely tendering towards an A hit far more than previous, but flash not ideal for Magic, but still in a good spot if he had made it out, but no, Olaf wants to punish that sort of, I guess, bravery, and now Config's to fall soon as well. This is going well for Fnatic, a fast hit, and depending on those individuals to shine, and Dennis is at the forefront. 2 for him. The follow-up from Flusher secures the site with the bomb planted. MSL nowhere to be found. Flusher to close, and Fnatic looking very strong now.
Fnatic love nothing more just to pull that thread out of the woolen sweater and watch it all fall apart there. It was from 1 kill, and they managed to exercise their dominance over on that A site. pushing forward and exploiting the fact that Magisk was a little bit aggressive towards them. Now they get themselves an AWP the first time in the game, and JW might be able to add to that single lonely frag. Plenty of utility, everything that Fnatic need, and a couple Famises on the side of North here. Not the healthiest budgets.
KGB is not fancying that mid fight. They've kind of absconded away from mid. There's Config playing connector, and that's about it. AZ a little bit passive on towards short. No one's really wanting to take the fight with JW. You can't really blame them directly. Flash from Palace, keeping them eyes trained towards A as 3 players still mounting a bit of an assault here through mid.
Easy on short. Smoke pop just in front of him. That's going to allow JW to peek in towards the connector, but KGB responds, catches him out there. That was all the way over towards CT. Across the map, frags, whittling the numbers down. Fnatic now working with 4, and it's going to be Flusher to find Magisk there. That was a close push over towards Palace. So he and Dennis, who's been lurking over towards T-Ramp now. Oh, Olafmeister. And when we check that one, and Config's able to spring forth and get him from behind. It's still a 3v4 situation now, and Fnatic are losing out in the numbers game. MSL, another patient frag from him. He pushed in towards Courtyard. And now Dennis to respond. KGB needs to flick downward. That's not easy. Straight down on the Y-axis, and he doesn't connect. Now 2v2, bomb being planted.
The timing on both of those playing out was just brilliant. I don't know if they planned it, just kind of did it from intuition, but playing out on different angles like that forced KGB to be incredibly uncomfortable. But Dennis now tries to lock down CT, but MSL has a little bit of a toy with it now. Going to instinctively turn the flash, and MSL will still pick him up. So now it's Flusher in the 1v2. The man's known to be able to keep these situations under control. Molly goes down towards the back. North clearing the site out as best they can, giving them the opportunities, but MSL!
What is happening?
Out of anyone on that North lineup, he is not the player you look at to provide these sort of kills, but he's come up and he's turned up today. 3 for him this round, bomb defused, round secured. After that looked really dangerous with Dennis.
I think it was probably Pronax actually back in the original Fnatic lineup. There was a particular game where he was top fragging, and this is by the by, but he himself said, look, if I'm top fragging, then there's probably some problems here. That's not the intent. But this is, I guess, a contrast because North are playing well and MSL's getting involved in a lot of the play here. Probably purely incidental, just a bit of a, you know, a factoid for you guys to take on board there, but he is able to have an impact across the map. The late rotations from B in sort of retake scenarios is where he's making his impact felt.
First time JW's doing this, though. That's a bit of a difference, and Crim's already picking up the pace towards mid. A bit of a trade-out, though, 1-for-1 thus far. Olaf down and KGB down, but where's the next follow-up? There it is. 80 finds Crim's in towards mid, and that's going to tilt this way back into the favor of North now. Look at where the last remaining players from Fnatic are. Magisk did have the drop on ramp, but Dennis checks it. This kind of close play from Magisk really isn't paying off for him. He's having a bit of a tough time dealing with Dennis working through there, and JW just too slow. And MSL will deny a bit of a foray towards B, as now Flusher has the bomb towards mid. And he's all they've got left.
Down teammate in front of Flusher now as he would just pick up the flash that was dropped. He's got 2 to work with here that might help him with short, but he doesn't really check it properly. It's going to be MSL. Greets him yet again. 2 kills for MSL in the round. And look, if you're that solo player over a B playing apartments, if you win a 1v1 there to stop the B push from that angle, you've already done your job. MSL performing above and beyond the Call of Duty here. 7-1 for North.
And of course, keep in mind, Fnatic are still relatively new as this roster, coming back together. The thing that kept them so far ahead of the curve, as they said themselves, was the fact they had that communication down. They had that kind of instinctive play to each other. They knew how to really complement and supplement each other's play. Yeah. It's been a while since they've had this roster, so it will take time to fall back into it. But North giving us a good display so far, looking like AZ is falling into the lineup well so far. Not yet been fully tested. 7-1 is a good scoreline though, but Flusher is still deadly.
Yeah, we've got AZ playing in tandem with the mid player on short there as well, so nothing, you know, I guess crazy for him to sort of wrap his head around to begin with. We'll maybe see more of it on the T side, how they want to use AZ there. But already, first kill, Config. And they go down, it's the trade. As Flusher managed to pick him up. Patience from MSL, it's going to have to be there. This time Magisk not pushing too deep. He's going to sit there and cut out and trust that KGB will have Overwatch over towards a T-ramp. Flusher now looking for an opportunity. Mid, he's pushed all the way down here. Although AZ wasn't waiting in this position, he's actually pulled way back around towards mid here, as you can see. So now North switching into a bit more of a defensive focus. Going to give some real estate up to Fnatic, and they're just going to go for retakes or collapse if need be. And Fnatic are formulating a plan here to make something happen at the B site.
We'll see how this one goes. MSL so far has not been moved. He's not fallen foul to anything, but this time he will be outdone. 3 players coming his way is going to be tough to deal with. Ace is not far off. We already saw him passive, but the player on short was quick there, and the adjustments not come through. So Fnatic, even though they had no armor, only upgraded pistols, they've got a plant and a 3v2. This can go in their way now, but if KGB gets a quick frag, maybe there's still odds on for North to be able to come through this situation. KGB
completely unflapped by that particular flash. Now Match is trying to work in from short. Now Cajun probably has to make a peek fairly soon as well. It's kind of hard to get the shots behind that bench. Now trying to pick with the USP there, actually gets the job done. Now back to the AWP. Fancy a little bit of up close and personal combat there. And now just gets himself onto the side. He's healthy enough. He gets the head. Crims goes down. Dennis falls as well. And North managed to bring it back here with 2 players. And the kid, of course, is on Cajun B. He'll do the honors now for the defuse. And North go 8-1 up.
That did get pretty close, though. You thought that if maybe someone was in the right place at the right time, that could have happened, but it wasn't to be, and the retake did come through in the end for North. Well done to them, and keeping hold of the AWPs, keeping the money pretty decent there. You can see Cajun B sitting on 5k still, so he's a nice little spot. But Fnatic on the other side still have the AWP back on JW. Haven't seen him really pulling much into this game just yet. But it's, you know, first half, maybe there's still time for things here, and now we're going to see a bit of CT-sided aggression. It felt like a long time in the making, but it seems the Fnatic are aware of this now, but they can't do much about it. AZ and Config ripping them to shreds. Fnatic lose 3, and it might be another round they lose as well.
And this is something the FaZe used to be very good at doing as well by the by. Just throw in an aggressive CT-sided round up mid, just take Fnatic by surprise, and it's working at charm. Cajun B catches Crims. He tries to make his move in towards mid, and now Dennis, so many guns, but only 1 pair of hands. At least he has the bomb to work with now, but it's going to be a long walk to try and get himself out of this particular bind. Config over towards ladder room there, fairly low, but if Dennis moves up too close to Delphine, we'll have the shot. 1 minute and 9 seconds remaining now. Config actually abandons his post there. He might have had the angle, but Dennis was looking for it too. So perhaps, you know, a bit of self-preservation kicking in now as Config can just set up a crossfire for Cajun B.
The timing.
Dennis gets absolutely nothing for this. And you know he's looking very patient as well. Trained on towards short. Config will make sound if he drops in the mid window here.
No one is watching Connector at the moment. So Dennis can walk up short in theory and just take a fight on MSL, but Config should be quick to it. But we'll see. This could come down to a lot of timing here. And he's going to spot out Dennis.
He's seen it.
It's going to come up on radar, and MSL's got to see it as well. Config's quickly going around from short. And if it wasn't going to be MSL, there were other players ready to shut that down before it spiraled away from them or allowed Dennis too much play. But the money's been pushed down again. Fnatic really struggling to get off the ground going here.
Definitely not what I guess people would have been hoping, or maybe even expecting to a lesser degree from Fnatic. Coming in, you know, with this reunion of sorts. I mean, this is not a team that, you know, ever, you know, spent reams of paper on developing complex strategies. Pansy, it was all about the communication like you brought out earlier on, but it has been some time. And yeah, they all speak the same language, but again, CS is a language unto itself, and might just need to refamiliarize themselves with it now. Looks like B might be the order of the day, or at least the moment here for Fnatic. Again, Tech 9s, Deagles, a little bit of utility on Crims, but not a heck of a lot.
Yeah, let's see if MSL's ready this time. He has risen to the occasion time and time again. He did get outdone a couple of rounds ago, but 3 players facing isn't easy. But the flash in does not work close, but the deeper one does. It's good for him. Tags on the follow-up, but now Cajun B needs to come into the action. Doesn't get the shot on JW towards the plants, and now the bomb's going to go down. And Fnatic are going to have a site to work with. Armor as well this time. So JW's got armor, he's got the M4, and the retake begins.
Oh, lovely hold of that corner there for Olofmeister, forcing AZ to go for the wide peak. Then he just comes in with that Tech 9, of course, the dastardly weapon that it is. Cajun responds, so now pushing down forward, looking for another target to present, trying to, I guess, raise a rabble with that USP. And Config down with the off angle, just gets the refrag there as well. But it's going to be JW to peek out there. He's second in those last few moments. 2 for the round for him, and Fnatic do bring it back. So once they access the site, once they get more than, you know, 1 player there, it's been working out. Multiple players peeking in towards the challenge in apartments. Get rid of MSL, okay, accept the trade. Once you have access to that site, they look like they can lock it down pretty comfortably.
Yeah, no doubting now. That showed some just firepower coming in through JW and Olof. Pretty much those 2 as a collective did pretty well for themselves. Now they've got an AWP as well, so JW might fancy a bit more of a challenge here. Config's going to be taking up the post again towards mid, but Cajun B this time decides he wants to go for a Palace peek. And I like that. I like showing a little bit of intuition, a little bit of kind of taking matters into your own hands, trying to find a way back into the game, whether you want to just take map control. And they've done it on B as well. 2 players pushing up towards B apps. Put AZ up there, and they can just kind of bait him in as such. They can do a smoke towards it, and people wouldn't expect players to be in front of that.
Yeah. And this now means that Config goes for a more passive hold through mid here because he doesn't really have anyone to cover him. So he was holding a very fine angle towards short from mid window, and that does give Fnatic mid control, but they're not really using it. Now at least Crims has got himself on towards short and ladder room, and they're moving around towards A.
And I like this. It gives MSL such a lean point. He can just lean on AZ to lock down B alone. Pretty much he's the early warning system to anyone coming towards B. That MSL can pull himself over towards kind of middle a little bit. It depends how AZ feels about this. If Crims tries to give something over towards it, they might start believing it, but the bomb's over by A, so that's why you've got Config, Magisk, and Cajun B, all eyes still trained towards this. A little bit of a worry towards Connector as Config puts down another smoke to ensure its safety, but Cajun B now is going to be challenged. And does he see it? I think he might have seen a glimpse then, and a glimpse is enough. JW will fall, and the follow-up, Cajun B pinning Olofmeister to the wall, but he can't find Dennis. He tries as much as he might, but there's still 3 players standing in front of Dennis, but maybe that's not a problem. Apparently, not at this point.
No, Dennis is healthy, 72 points of health, a flash and a smoke to work with. This is going to give him a nice wide peak, or at least let him get out wide. But no, he's going to go straight through to smoke here. Oh, North were confused for a moment, but MSL does bring them deliverance. 3 kills for him in this round. The in-game leader from North, leading from the front this time around. It's only been 12 rounds. He's 17-5.
I just like that from North. It just shows, I like the way they played that round, just pushing people up towards B. It's something that SK did quite some time ago, just pushing players up towards B, 2 of them pushing up, leaving one ahead of a smoke as such. So it was like an early warning system. They hear steps coming. If they hear anything coming their way, they can rotate.
Does that weaken you elsewhere while you're trying to put 2 players in towards B?
Maybe if they're doing fast hits, but Fnatic haven't been. They haven't been just plowing through towards the site, but Dennis somehow is doing this sort of damage. Finding Magisk is a bit of a hit, and now here comes the wave to fall off the back of it. Fnatic are going to flood this site. Dennis again finds Cajun B. This man's doing some damage individually, but whether that transfers to a round, we're about to find out.
Well, Config smoking his way now, but he knows that the site is beset by Fnatic players, so he wants to try and find a route in. But Dennis, again, looking to be nasty with that scout. MSL to late rotate towards CT. He's found Flusher. Bomb is down now. Flashed over the top for Config. And AZ is going to help him push this one down. The smoke's going to dissipate. Give a little bit more sights to where the bomb is. But Olaf, he's sitting back.
North still have 3 smokes. They should be able to shut off ramp, but Dennis is still finding shots before then. This is so dangerous. Crims can play into it now, and he has. It's a 1v1. Config touches the bomb, but Crims will take the fight regardless, and that is beautiful from Fnatic, forcing the issue, but it's Dennis at the forefront with that scout. That was just obscene in that round.
Yeah, and the positioning was brilliant as well. 2 Fnatic players were heavily flashed as they pushed ahead on towards the site. Dennis stayed back in towards T-ramp. He wasn't affected by that flash. He managed to get the kill of the player up on top of the stairs there. That was very, very crucial. Otherwise, it could have been an easy spray down there for North. 2-player advantage going over towards the Danes. They could have closed the round out from there. Now, this is a bit interesting. North, not a lot to work with here. It's only going to be UMP for Magisk and pistols for all and sundry. And they've gone the wrong side, no doubt about it. Now, MSL, get yourself out of this one, mate. Got yourself a 5-7, and he's not going to last very long. Can't hold up in the heat. Fnatic will pressure this B site and get the bomb down.
Yeah, I want to see just Flusher just try and plow through some of that UMP, just build up those funds, really try and secure a nice bang for himself in the last couple of rounds, but North are taking a long walk.
Yeah.
You might as well keep this, to be fair.
One more round left in the half. Come back into it with a UMP, something to work with. Don't lose guns, don't lose money. I have armor to take into the next one here as well. 11-4 will be pretty nice for North here as well, especially after the start that they managed to put on. And Fnatic only now starting to find the answers. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too late in the day on this T-sided half to really start racking up rounds. Need to turn their eyes to the next half. Flash, just going and checking to see if anyone's sitting back as a vanguard over at A. A couple easy picks would go a long way for them, but they'll take the round in itself. 10-4, North do lead by a considerable margin here. Fnatic have a chance to bring it back 10-5 at the half and give a semi-respectable T-side total.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad for them at all. You can't, after the start they had, getting 5 rounds at this point, perfectly fine. That's what you need. And they know you've got to know they're coming up against the North now that has really limited money. They've gone full force in on whatever they can get. Of course, it is the final round, but it's still not great. 2 scouts, UMPs, a deagle. It can work together, but Fnatic shouldn't lose out to this. Occasionally taking a lot of damage and gets really no info in mid either.
Sometimes you've got to take risks like that. We've seen plenty of interesting Molotov plays there, but KGB was unable to see the wood for the trees now. There's 3 smokes down in mid, and that's allowed Fnatic to gain a lot of progress here I've actually got players pushing towards apartments as well. This is going to draw MSL forward. It's reasonable to expect that a Fnatic player is infiltrated in towards ladder room, but it's not the case. So MSL now may be in danger. He's drawn himself that far. There's 2 players pushing towards short for Fnatic here. They need to check ladder room. MSL will be waiting with JW. Doesn't check it. MSL pushes forward. The 180 from JW. The head goes flying from MSL, but AZ in MSL's place over at B. Nice little peek up there with the 5-7.
Oh, and I was about to say he has the bomb, but it doesn't matter. He gets naded out, and now he's down to this 2v2. But oh my word, Config, that's the shot you needed. Flusher falls, and now he wants his Crim Scout to add to the collection thus far, and he gets another shot at it, but he can't get the job done. Now, Crims has to try and navigate around this. Where is Magis? What's Config up to? And
oh my.
What? That was through the wall. He's tagged him so heavily, and I don't know if Config knows this now, but Crims is sweating bullets, and Magis will put him out of his misery. And what a way to close out a pretty dominant first half for North. Starting off this matchup, they looked incredibly strong. Fnatic had a little bit of a resurge there towards the end, but still only 4 rounds.
Yeah, a bit of a Dignitas throwback there as well from Config to finish things off. Whatever the aggressor, that player, it's 11-4 at the half for North now. We can go to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, but when we return, we will see the conclusion of Mirage, our first map in this best-of-2 series between Fnatic and North. We'll see you in a sec. Off the back of a deep dive over at the E-League Major here, North are showing no signs of slowing down here, going up against Fnatic, the newly oldly reformed roster that it is. And we haven't really seen, I guess, look, first match, fair enough, but we haven't really seen what we used to see from Fnatic here as well. It's something a little bit different, and maybe that's okay, Lauren. It's 2017. It's time for a bit of a new starter. Maybe Fnatic can find a new formula as well with this old, oh, not by age, but of course, this older lineup of players.
Yeah, it's very much up in the air, and you can't give them too much gyp yet. It takes time to settle back in with players, new or old. People have learned new habits, new ways of playing, so it'll take a little bit of time, but there are a lineup that you can't ignore. It's as simple as that. It's always been the way of Fnatic, and everyone knows that T-sides, especially Danish T-sides, do like those A-hits, and they're generally well orchestrated. And Dennis, the danger man on pistols for Fnatic, is down, and that for North is a lovely addition.
Definitely bolstering the morale as they move forward there. Don't know how MSL found JW there. The smoke was there, but Flusher threw them smoke himself. Not allowed to do that. You can't see through it, mate. Nonetheless, found the frags and now getting pushed back. Config gets aggressive towards them, as we know he likes to do, but Olafmaster trades that one out immediately. 2v2.
Look at Magisk as well. He's going all the way around. That plant is for short, and he can play it from connector however he pleases. He even has the P250, but he might not have to. AZ is putting up an outstanding fight already, buying time, and Crims knows the game plan from North, but that just might not matter at this point. He does have a kit, so there's still danger on board, but no bullets means no kill, and AZ reminds him of that.
And some fancy footwork there from AZ. lazy as well. Strafe wasn't even necessary. Crims didn't have the bullets to get the job done, but that's huge. That's a big start for North now. Winning the pistol out, second half, already a big lead for them here. It won't take long to have Fnatic straight back to Compton.
God. And I've always liked, whether it be under Dignitas, whether it be at North now, pistol rounds they bring on Mirage were always really enjoyable. They used to have the, you know, there was like 2 or 3 nades actually towards CT on this, smokes galore, even on the first pistol. They used to really do quite interesting things, and that time, again, no real stranger to it, so always enjoyable. But Fnatic, even though Flusher does Flusher things through smokes, it doesn't really make any difference here. But try and go on a bit of a fact-finding mission for JW, but merely finds, well, a bullet to somewhat of the torso. So Fnatic do have weapons to work with. You do have Flusher on the CZ, so we know what he can do with that thing. But it's looking for options here. It's looking for opportunities, whereas North just have to try and play this as cleanly as possible.
And towards underpass here for AZ and Magisk, and at the same time, MSL and Cajun are going to go towards top mid here. Good amount of crossfire. Config being that lone lurk over at A. Dennis and Crims are playing quite close here. Almost expecting a T-ramp push, so it's not going to be coming at this stage now, and North are actually going to be able to get out on towards the A side pretty comfortably here. Crims drops down early on. Config decides to pull the trigger from Palace. Now Dennis, lower dark, Carp channels. MSL finds him. Magisk finds JW straight after. That was over towards Connector, and as quick as you like, Fnatic are out of this round.
And really nice approach from North, just playing as a collective, keeping this round as clean as possible. This could be a team ace as well if Cajun B gets it, but the point being that they took their route carefully. They didn't play into those closer angles. Config getting those kills through, you know, towards Palace, getting the first through there, and then the follow-up on towards Dennis coming in from, I think it was MSL, if I'm not mistaken, was great. It just keeps it clean. I was a little worried that they may not have checked for Dennis at that point. They'd maybe got away with just sitting underneath on the balcony just by Palace, but he didn't. They checked on it, they done the job, and North keep this incredibly clean for themselves. So they don't need to buy much into this round. They can just kind of resupplement whatever they had to utilize in that one, and then just come right back in, because they know the Fnatic have nothing to really work with.
And it just gives them resilience in case Fnatic do get towards a point where they can buy and they do win a round here or there. It won't be enough for Fnatic to build momentum off that one round, because North can build some bank. Straight up mid, Cajun B says no thank you, Crims. I'm not buying any of what you're selling. And JW now has to reconsider the wisdom of the push. No, Cajun B deals with him exactly as his counterpart prior. And that will definitely slow the Swedes down.
So those goldfishes, you know, they just go around in the little bowls constantly, just keep going into the same thing. Well, Dennis might have a little go. He's still in mid, so that'd be quite fun if he does. But at this point, North have just hit the brakes. They're like, well, Fnatic have to make something happen. They'll probably try and make a play somewhere. And they've waited out, and KGB obviously reaps the rewards of it, and he does find Dennis in the end as well. Flusher, though, does at least hold off Magisk, and that's probably about as much as you can expect as the slow walk towards B begins.
And North here continuing to pressure B as well. It's not something Fnatic are going to expect here. They probably think, okay, well, they know Flusher at least is at B. Reasonable to split, send Flusher over towards A. Leave Olofmeister to sort of flank around here. Now, he's looking for a gun, or someone hiding in the corner here. Maybe Cajun B still goblining around the place, but won't be fighting. Now, Olofmeister only has a USP, no armor to speak of here. So this is definitely the weaker of, I guess, the two in terms of arsenal for Fnatic to send into this fight. Flusher now is going to know the bomb goes down. He's going to work his way in towards Kitchen, but North have so much time to establish incredibly strong positions. Cajun B, again, he's a turret. People just walk into his crosshairs. He doesn't have to go looking for the kills. They come to him.
Really nice positioning from Cajun B throughout that one. Just kind of read it pretty well, put himself in the good spots. And now look at that money as well. Up to 7K on 2 after the reinvestments. They've still got a couple of UMPs here, but when you're on 14-4, you can do this, because even if you lose this round, you've still got so many to play off. And Fnatic, if they lose anyone here, you know, another couple of rounds, the game's over. You know, it's on to pretty much map 2 or game 2, however you want to call it. And now North can switch up the pace. They haven't had to give away too much here at this point. They've been leading in this one. They haven't had to really respond to anything Fnatic's put out. Now we might see a bit of a difference. Let's see what Fnatic can do. They've got the rifles at least, but such a limitation in every other aspect. No kits to be seen either, which is another big problem. So again, North have the upper hand. Well, let's see how they utilize it.
Again, looks like they're going to pinch 2 players out of underpass as they did 2 rounds ago. Managed to get very clean control of mid as a response, or as a result. Olaf and B won't see anything now with the clouds obscuring view. And what is on the other side is North are gearing up for battle. The North is coming. Smoke over on towards B here. Flusher looking more towards short as Caden B's trying to just take a bit of attention away. Now he'll know. Flash comes in. Matches can config already hit the side. Smoke goes down. Olaf does meet the first player pretty comfortably there. Headshot with the UMP is going to be enough to get the job done. There's only config to find a frag so far, and Olaf is all over it. Nice hold there. 3 kills for Olaf, 1 for Flusher, working his magic there from short. And now Cajun B's in a 1v4.
All right, Cajun, good luck. Olaf Meister's just set the bar pretty high. You've got to go and beat that somehow, and I don't see it working out, especially with that start. But great stuff from Olaf Meister. Just kind of cool, calm, and collected while all that mayhem was around him. He found the right positions to be, and he waited long enough as well. People were already out on the site. He let, I think it was Flusher take first contact there pretty much and just let him run with it, and then just came in at the perfect time, caught them off guard, came out from, it was just by the truck, but no one really checked on it. So perfectly done from him. Brilliant individual play, and that's kept them in this one.
And that's the nature of that truck spot as well, Lauren. If you want to check it, you need to literally be on top of it. That's the problem. Can't always look for a Cajun B. Great way to open the round up. Quick pick on towards Crims to start things off. Flash doesn't quite go where it was intended, but still, man advantage here for North.
Yeah, a bit of a panic flash in case there was someone trying to chase him after that shot because of the deep molly. He couldn't back away, so looked a little panicked, but it's fine. It's done what he wanted to. He's got that first pick towards A, and it was a committed shot as well, going all the way up the ramp. But now, Fnatic have 4 players. You're on the CT side, and it's not fun.
Cajun now as well. Moving to his position from a couple rounds ago, where he just managed to catch all of Fnatic walking into his net. Fnatic have tried a little bit of late round mid-aggression if they're seeing that North aren't using it. Obviously a great way to flank around on towards any B pushes. Config again, not showing himself at Palace.
Flusher is so screwed.
Yeah, and we saw this earlier on as well. 2 Fnatic players pushing this. It's a double pick here, so Matt, yeah. There it is, okay. I was going to say, that could have been ugly.
Yeah.
They've got 2 players in underpass for that as well, so pretty hard to survive that.
Such a nice pinch. You put pressure on Connector, you get someone like JW looking towards Connector, you push out Palace, and that's Config getting the frag. But Dennis is still in an interesting spot. Surely someone's going to keep... they're playing for short anyway, but still, it's an angle that you don't maybe expect. Yeah, they really don't expect it, but I don't know how much this is going to make any odds. He's got 3 more players to deal with. He's got no kit on him either, and these guys still have smokes, still have mollies, and sadly he doesn't have his head anymore. Yeah, look, from my perspective there, he already lost his teammate there from over towards jungle, so very, very hard for too much to be done there for Dennis. This was Olaf obviously earlier on here, so push on towards the side there. One player has to accept or trust his teammate to check truck, and then the other has to push on towards the site. You can't just sort of wait and stack up. And if Olaf Master beats a truck player, it's going to take maybe 1 to 2 seconds before the site T player to realize that his teammate's gone down and respond. And North quickening the pace. Look at straight out mid, straight face, no messing around, not pulling any punches here. They're going to actually quicken up, if anything, really bring the game to Fnatic. Just remind them, guys, you've got 5 rounds, we've got 15. We're on the verge of picking this one up, and they certainly feel the pinch now. As Dennis tries to read the game plan, he's already pushing towards Palace over towards A, and you're seeing Olaf Meister on B doing something similar. But on B, it's Magic to come out on top. Config's just stayed alive. Dennis didn't get the info he wanted, and now you're going to see Fnatic really being strained throughout the map.
And that's one way to safeguard truck. Quick molly thrown down there. Magic taking his time, though. He's not pushing off the back of the utility he's used, hoping to draw some players across. Crims was angling towards B, but then thought better of it now and is staying towards mid. North of 1 minute and 5. A lot of time to work with here. Magic goes in towards underpass, so they're still using that double angle there. Dennis looking for config. We'll find him there. That was the FAMAS push, and that's going to give his position away, though, and give North some time to get in. They don't really know where Crims is, but the flash is going to give it away, and MSL's going to come straight through. Dennis would have had to stand and deliver, but a little bit too much. And now Flusher, of course, with a CZ and Flusher, you never know what might happen. He's going to even be able to trade himself up to a UMP, but the bomb is down, and there's 3 players to deal with here for North. There's 1 in connector, 1 in T-ramp, and 1 close towards that A site. Flusher, long-range stuff on the UMP. Took a while for Magic to realize he was there, but once he did, his shot rang true. And a very anemic performance from Fnatic on that particular map. And my fantasy team is completely screwed. Olaf Meister, you've let me down. Lauren, not much to say there, really. Fnatic just haven't shown us much this game.
Yeah, it's still early for Fnatic. It's still very early in the season. It's very early for them as a lineup. So we're going to have to wait and see what they can bring into the next map.
All right, and before we get there is what we're going to pass over towards the desk to put this game under the microscope.
Thank you very much, Mitch and Lauren. Yes, is this what we expected? I think is the first question I'm going to be throwing over to Henry and Chad. Sure. Seeing Fnatic, of course, making 2 player changes, jumping into their first real official environment. Of course, we heard Zeus they were already fornicating with other teams, apparently, to summarize his tweet.
Good.
However, we are seeing this kind of fall flat versus North with that easy at the helm.
It's kind of as I left it before we kind of finished the analyst section up. You could feel like North are going to be a lot more comfortable coming into this one. It's a lineup they've played with before at big events as well. AZ coming into this, he fits in very nicely indeed. He saw him taking over Rubino's spot, but pretty comfortable throughout, and just business as usual for them on the CT side of Mirage. On the other side, though, Fnatic, pretty much a similar story to what the demise of this team led to. They looked like they were relying very heavily on individual plays, winning a lot of ecos, not really bringing too much in terms of a tactical game there, and that's going to lose you big games like this against teams like North, who are just going to lock you down, be dynamic, shut things down in terms of setting things up towards middle, aggressive everywhere. And one thing as well I wanted to point out, MSL with a big game. I called him out for not being as good as Glaive, and he actually had a very good performance.
He must have heard you. He was very aggressive there toward the B apartments. Caught out JW that one round, pushed for information, killed someone from underpass. He did good work, you know, and he's making a lot of frags that you wouldn't normally expect him to. So good form for him, maybe more confident in the team. That's good to see.
I do want to rehash something you just hinted at there, Henry, regarding Fnatic actually winning more rounds on Force or Eco rounds than they were with weapons. Now, what does that mean from the player's perspective of you first, Chad? When that's happening, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, like in a logical way, right? You have less equipment, less means to succeed, and yet you find more of it.
You are playing CS:GO though.
Okay, so on the T side they won 4 rounds, 2 of which were mixed buys.
Right.
So they have lower money, obviously, and they're buying weaker utility and weaker weaponry. You aren't as scared when you have stuff like that. You know, you're willing to take more risks. You're willing to run through smokes or maybe jump and try and do something a bit silly, and it tends to pay off because, it is CSGO. And when you play the game like that, you can catch the CTs off guard because you're not playing conventional. You know, when they have the rifles and they're doing the normal things, they're just going to be... There's only so many decisions you can make with a rifle. When you have like a Tech 9 or something, you can basically play all the play styles, right? You know, and we saw that the rounds that they won, they came down. They were still pretty close rounds, you know. There was a round where MSL had a smoke. He could have smoked the bomb. I think in most situations when you're retaking a site and you don't know where the T's are, smoke the bomb to draw them out. He didn't do that. They managed to lose... they lost that one. It's just a different mentality when you have lower weaponry.
Yeah,
and it somehow leads to success. I mean, this isn't always the case, but it does seem that Fnatic and XXX Envy both fell into that category where it somehow works.
Yeah, I don't know. This is really early days for Fnatic. We have to remember that. We can't expect too much. The lineup's just been announced. They've probably had a little bit of practice time here. We have to remember CSGO is such a difficult game right now in terms of the map pool. 7 maps coming in. Obviously, Inferno's being chucked into the mix next week as well. They've got to focus on what they're going to be trying to play. It's really difficult to actually, even though there's been a team that's been together before, just coming back in, the meta's shifted since 6 months ago. The game's being played differently. They have to readdress everything. Right now, I think they must be going with the fundamentals once again. Flusher in game leading, to be trying to go back to the basics. And a team like North, very methodical, very good at working map control, and actually MSL as well. I'm actually a big fan of his. The way he approaches CT halves especially, I think he's got a very good observational eye of how he actually approaches each round and what the other team will be thinking he's going to be presenting, and he changes things up quite nicely.
I mean, there's no doubt that currently if you did have like a kind of a visualization of the in-game leadership and it's a game of chess, MSL is wiping the floor with Flusher. There's no doubt about it. There's a whole lot more to work with there.
I think with the meta shift that Henry's talking about, before you used to just do default strategies, right, and you'd be able to send all your pieces across the board and do what they needed to do on the T side and get map territory, and then after a certain period of time start working together. Now what you're seeing is teams doing a lot more pack rolling stuff. You know, you're doing a lot of 3-2s or 4-1 stuff where you're taking a lot of, like, taking one part of the map with your majority of your numbers, because CTs now, when you do a default, if you as CTs know that that's the strat they go to, you just kind of mob them, take out the members there, and then the rest of their round is kind of screwed, right? So you're playing a lot more, like Virtus Pro are an example who like to do like a 4-1 on A on Cobble. You know, they like to walk 4 in an area where you wouldn't normally expect 4 people to be needed. And once they make that frag, the world's their oyster.
Yeah, I mean, it's a constantly evolving meta. That's the beauty of the game that we love. Indeed, Counter-Strike will be played after our break. In fact, before we take it, Overpass is coming up next, and we had a tweet from JW. Now, this is a quick insight into how he's feeling. He says, it felt nothing went our way, and everything went theirs. They play better. We won't happen 2 maps in a row. See you on Olof Pass. GG.
More banter. It's good.
Yeah, I like that. This is great. I love these little highlights. You get to see an insight into those players. He said it's not going to happen again. Chad says it will. You only find out if you come and join us after the break. We'll take a quick one. When we come back, we'll see if Olof Pass goes the way of Olaf Meister and his bunch of merry men, or if we'll see more success from the Danes. Join us then.